Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Jan Dyer. Listen, tonight we have a delicious casserole. You know, a casserole is just a satisfying meal, isn't it? I mean, we have several little steps. None of them are big or ominous, but when we get finished, it is going to look so impressive. I have made King Ranch chicken with several different recipes. This one is not the easiest one, but it's also, I think, probably the most flavorful one. So let me get us started because this has to cook for 10 minutes. All this is 1.5 onion, and we've put 6 tablespoons of butter. You use salted butter. And it's a poblano pepper, a jalapeno pepper, and a bell pepper. And I had a yellow bell pepper in my crisper. So let me get these all chopped up. I just wanted y'all to see. We're going to make these real nice little even chops. And then we're just going to drop it in the pot. And like I said, it's a 10-minute time. And all we're doing is just getting these really nice and soft because that's going to be a really important part of this casserole. It's going to be the sauce. And then the same thing too. Let me put my glasses on before I start my onion chopping. You could easily use your food chopper. You know, the thing is, I'm just used to using my knife. So whatever you're comfortable with. The thing is, you know what? We don't need to call anybody out on stuff like that. If you want to use the food chopper, use the food chopper. If you want to buy the onions already chopped, buy the onions already chopped. All we're trying to do is get a nice meal on the table for our family. So whatever you want to do, you just do it. Whatever makes it easy. I've seen the peppers chopped. I've seen the garlic chopped. Really and truly, don't ever hold yourself accountable for stuff that you feel like you don't have time for. Do what you can, what you can't. Let somebody else do it for you. Alrighty. I think I've got that turned up. Because what we need to do is hear a nice sizzle. I just got a few of these things in here just so we could already get started. This is a poblano. I've not used them very much. The flavor is wonderful. There's not really much heat at all associated with them. But it is such a good flavor. And it's just I guess you see, they're in lots of Mexican food, and it's delicious. I'll tell you too, right now, the Hatch green chilies are in, which is a seasonal pepper, and you can get those real spicy. So I'm going to try to find us some of those. They'd be really good in like a breakfast casserole or something, but just use whatever you like. And I'm going to tell you too, I've got a jalapeno. We're not eating this meal tonight. We're actually taking it to my mom. She doesn't like real spicy. So I've taken the membranes and the seeds all out of the jalapeno. So all you're really left with in that pepper is good flavor. But I will cut it a little bit smaller. For one, it's a small pepper. But I'll just dice that up pretty small. Drop it in. And I'm hearing a sizzle now, so that is good. Let me get these stirred up real good. This is about the longest amount of time we're going to have to wait on anything because once you get this ready, once you get it sizzling, we need to let these soften and cook down for 10 minutes. So I will meet you back here when these are done. Okay, welcome back. This is where we are. We've got 2.5 minutes left on this. I have been cooking our tortillas, and you got a little smoky in here, so I've turned it down a little bit. But all we're doing, just like we did with the enchiladas, you just cook these so that they're going to be nice and flavorful in the casserole. I like these. Last time I made this, I made these a little bit darker. I really liked that flavor. So that's what I'm doing with these. So let's just get that one off. I show you what I do too because you are cooking these in just a little bit of vegetable oil. And I had 18 to do. So I get my pieces of paper towel, and really I put 2 tortillas and then I put another piece of paper towel and I fold it over. So that way they're soaking up the oil, and now you're gonna get that really good flavor. So that is done. Let me set this over here. This is one layer that we're gonna put in our casserole. That part is done. All right, we are just 1.5 minutes to add in the rest of the flavor to this delicious thing. Hey, while I'm doing that, let me show you what I did with our chicken. Made my life easy. I stopped and got a rotisserie chicken. And I just needed 5 cups, which really this is just the white meat because that's what I prefer. I broke it apart, cut it up, diced it up pretty small, and I just, like I said, I just used the white meat. But a rotisserie chicken just made it easy, and I could get it done without having to come home and actually start cooking chicken. So take those shortcuts, girls. It makes life so much easier. And then I needed a cup of cilantro. Just rinsed that off, chopped it up, and put it in here. So that's going to be another one of our layers. And we're going to add this sauce mixture to it. But that's one layer there with the sauce. Let me get this stuff out of the way for us because we are ready. We're just going to do the seasoning, which is a tablespoon of chili powder, which I buy great big like this. A tablespoon of ground cumin. You know, I'm not a huge cumin fan. I think I've told you that. So I use a little bit less, but then again, I'm taking this to my mom. And then this has got a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Let me stop. My timer is just about to go off. Let me just add that in. That's our seasoning. That chili powder is going to make it delicious. Boy, that you can already tell. And that's just going to cook for a minute. Boy, it smells so wonderful. You know, it's just those different kinds of peppers. If you've got somebody that doesn't like peppers, I'm sure you can admit that. Listen, we're going to go ahead and add our garlic into because it can go in with the spices and cook that minute. So let me start our minute right now so that we can make sure that garlic, you know, you don't want the garlic to burn. You just want it to get real fragrant. And I know you're thinking, well, it's a Mexican dish. I don't taste a lot of garlic. They don't use a lot of garlic. They just use enough to make it taste delicious. So that is cooking. It is so nice and soft. I don't know if you can see those onions, but they are just melting down. So they're going to be tons of flavor. They got brown, a little bit brown. I had to scrape a little of the brown off. Hey, that's just flavor. Okay, at this time, because y'all aren't going to believe this, but I'm not using a cream soup tonight. I know. I use a lot of them. But tonight we're kind of making our own cream of chicken. So we're going to take 1/4 cup of flour, mix it in with our vegetables, and cook that around another minute. And that's just long enough for that flour taste to get out. So you need to make sure, and you can see, look how that's already thickened up, which is important because to make our sauce, we're going to add in chicken broth. It's going to make a cream of chicken soup, or our chicken soup. So let that cook a couple of minutes, or a minute. And once we finish that, we're ready to add our broth. Let me get it ready. You know, it's just, I think I showed you this before. I just buy the Swanson's chicken broth. I know they talk about making your own, and I think it's very simple to do. It's just something that I've never really done. And I like this broth. I've always liked it, and I've never had trouble with it. So, but they do say homemade broth is delicious. So if that's something you want to do, or if it's something that you and your family do, that's wonderful. And I think it stores in the refrigerator for a long time. So I think we're pretty close to a minute. We'll go just a couple more seconds because that's one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have flour taste in your stuff. Okay, we've got our flour. This was just going to be, what did we say here? Well, it's a whole can of the chicken broth, so I think it was a cup and a little over. Mix that around. Now what we're going to do, crank this up a little bit because I've got it on a little lower. This needs to come to a boil. It won't take just a second because it's so shallow. But it's going to come to a boil, and when it does, it's going to start thickening up. Let me make sure. I don't think I need to whisk it, but let me just get this over here, make sure we don't have any clumps showing up at the bottom, but we shouldn't. That flour broke up really good in there. This is where you could have, in some of the recipes that I have made, this is where you add your cream of chicken soup or your cream of mushroom soup. And I have one recipe that actually uses both of them. But I promise you, this is going to be a delicious flavor. You're going to love it. Your family's going to love it. And it makes a good sized casserole. So if depending on the size of your family, you know, you may have it for several meals. I know my husband and I, the other day when I made it, we had it for several meals, so that was good. So we're just waiting for this to boil. Let me tell you what we're going to do when it boils, so you'll be ready when we get ready. It's starting to thicken up now, so that's good. We have I think my chopping's done. Let me just scoot this little cutting board out of the way. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Everybody okay? All right. We are going to, this is just about to boil. And it only has to boil for a minute or two. And then we'll remove it from the heat. I know I saw a bubble. It may be wishful thinking. Okay, all we're going to do at that point, we're going to add to this Rotel tomatoes. And let me tell you about the Rotel. You can get them as spicy as you want. You can get them as mild as you want. And this is the mild, because I told you I'm taking it to my mom. You drain them because you don't need any more added moisture. So you drain them. As soon as that's boiled for a couple of minutes, I'm going to pour those in. And then we also have, and we're going to take it off the heat. Then we're going to add 1.5 cups of sour cream. And I know that seems like a lot, but I promise it makes it delicious. So that is just doing wonderful. Boiling away. All right. I'm going to turn that off. I think that's about right. Let's take it off the heat. I'm going to move it up there towards you. Then we're going to add in our Rotel tomatoes. I've had trouble finding Rotel tomatoes during all this pandemic. There were 4 cans at the Super Center over here close to my house. So I don't know if everybody's just not working there or what's going on. Okay, that's the Rotel. Then we're going to mix in the sour cream. At that point, we're going to be ready to start putting this together. We have 1 layer of cheese, and I have set that in the refrigerator, so that's going to be something I have to go get. This is nice and hot, this stove, because it is warm on my arm right there. Whoopsie. You know, I set stuff all around just because it makes me happy to look at it, but it's really kind of in the way. Usually I have a bunch of recipe books and stuff right here, but they're in the way. And here's the truth. Everything I have, and the majority of what I have, it all means something to me. That's why I still have it. Look how delicious that looks. Doesn't that look fabulous? Okay. We are going to have to, excuse me just a second while I grab the cheese. I set it in here so that it could be nice and cold because it's a lot of cheese. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Had to take a break. We're going to take these tortilla shells and put them in our casserole dish. Now, we sprayed this with just a little bit of cooking spray. We're going to do 6 of them. See how pretty these are? I love them when they get darker. But sometimes they get away from you, so you got to kind of watch them. And see how I've done these? 2, and that just keeps them from being super oily. Okay, one more thing I need to add. I'm going to have to pull this back up here just to be able to reach it. The chicken and the cilantro. It's plenty. Oops. I'm not going to worry about it be sitting here on this heat just because I'm going to use it super quick. Just stir that all together. And all we're going to do, this is layering the shells, chicken, cheese, and then we go right back. You just go again. Let me see if I've got a spoon right here. I think I do. I should have had that out. I know I should have. At least they're close, huh? We just have to split this in 2. So it's going to be 1 layer of chicken, cheese shells. We actually end with cheese, a 3rd layer of shells, and then another layer of cheese. Okay, we're going to say that's pretty good. Get it all over. Then let's take, and this was 2 different kinds of cheese. It's 8 ounces of each, and one of them is a sharp cheddar, and one of them is the a Monterey Jack. If you have certain cheeses that you use for your Mexican food, you know, this is just a guide. Do what you need to make it your own. And if there are certain things your family likes, that's what's fun about cooking. Make it special for your family. Make it special for the event that you're going to. If people like things really spicy, spice it up a lot. I don't think I have ever eaten anything that was too spicy for me. My kids say it's because my taste buds have died. But I don't think that's true because I still like it. I just like it nice and hot and spicy. Okay, we're putting, isn't that pretty? All those different colors. Got your cilantro that's in your chicken, all your peppers. I'm telling you, this smells fabulous. But I like Mexican food. I think that's a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people that say they could eat it just about every meal. That's us. I could eat it just about every meal, but we don't. But okay, then we're going to put a little bit of cheese on this. We're going to save some for the top though, because we're going to put those shells on and it just looks so pretty with some melted cheese on those shells. And let me tell you what we're going to do. When we get all this together, it's going to go in the oven. And I've got an aluminum foil that is sprayed with some cooking spray. Because one thing you don't want is for your cheese to stick to your aluminum foil. When you pull that foil off, there goes all your cheese. That would be so sad. It would make me sad. Okay, last layer on the shells. We are going to put the last of this. And like I said, it's really 16 ounces of cheese. And they say 8 ounces gives you a couple of cups, which is probably true. So that gave us a nice amount of cheese. Okay, what I'm going to do, let me grab my aluminum foil that has been sprayed on this side. We are going to cover it, put it in a 375-degree oven, and let it cook for 20 minutes covered. Then I'm going to take the cover off, let it cook for 10 more minutes without the cover, and then it will be ready. And I will see you back here, and you won't believe how beautiful this is. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back. The timer just went off, which means it's time for King Ranch chicken. Oh my gosh, that looks fabulous. Look how nice and cheesy it looks. Cheesy is never bad. This looks fabulous. Okay, now I will tell you, see how bubbly hot it is? Let it set at least 10 minutes before you try to serve it because it is hot through and through. So, look what we did. I'm so proud of it, aren't y'all? Let me go over real quick what all is in this. We started our sauce with 6 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 cups of onion, 1 cup of chopped pepper, a bell pepper, a cup of poblano, or if you find those hatch chilies, try those. They would be delicious. And a jalapeno. We cooked that together for 10 minutes just to soften those peppers up really good and those onions. Then we added, it called for 2 cloves of garlic. Mine were small. I think I used 5, but they were like 1/4 of the size. Seasoned it with 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of ground cumin. I err on the side of not as much just because it's not my favorite spice. A teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Just let that have a minute together. Once that's done, we're going to sprinkle in 1/4 cup of flour. Get that all mixed in, those peppers and that butter, and it's going to make a roux to make that really good sauce. Let that cook for a minute. And you're just cooking that flour flavor out. That's all you're doing. Then you're going to whisk in a can of broth. Let that cook for a minute to 2. I turned my heat up at that point just so I could get it to a boil, because you want it to boil. When it starts boiling, it's going to thicken up, and that's going to give you that delicious sauce. Then take it from the heat, add your drained tomatoes, which we use Rotel tomatoes. You can get whatever heat level you want. And then our sour cream, which was 1.5 cups. Okay, we had all the different layers. We mixed our chicken, which was a rotisserie chicken, 5 cups of chicken, which I just pulled it off the bone and I just shredded it up, with a cup of chopped cilantro. Then we added all of this creamy sauce into the chicken. So we had our casserole dish. In the bottom, oh, we did tortilla shells. And all we did was kind of flash fry those, but I got them a little bit darker because I liked that flavor. We needed 18 of them. And be sure you separate those with paper towel or napkin or something just to absorb some of that oil, because we cooked them in vegetable oil. I see people that have gas top, just lay them on that. That would be wonderful. But we cooked those, flash fried them just 30 seconds, took them out. That was one of our layers. So we have 3 layers. We've got the chicken in the sauce, we've got the tortillas, and we've got the cheese. Okay, all we had to do was put it together. Casserole dish, sprayed it a little bit to make sure nothing sticks. 6 shells, and they'll overlap a little bit. A half of your chicken and sauce mixture. Then half of the, or maybe not quite a half of the cheese, because you're going to reserve some for the top. But cheese. Another layer of shells, chicken, cheese, shells, and cheese. Doesn't that look delicious? I know it seems like we had several steps, and maybe this is something you'd want to, tackle on a weekend or when you had a little more time, because it does seem to take a little time. But I promise you it's delicious. You serve that to anyone, they're going to know that you put a whole lot of love into that plate, and it's going to be something they'll talk about for a very, very long time. So give it a try. Guys, gals, whoever, give it a try. Let me know that you did. Let me know what you thought. And I hope you'll enjoy it. And we'll see you back here real soon.